Very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to SYBCom Semester 3. I, Dr. Anil Maisuria, on behalf of Agarwal Vidya Vihar English Medium College, welcome you all in Semester 3. I will teach you Statistics 3 subject in Sem 3. So first of all, we should know about our syllabus. So today we will discuss our syllabus in detail as well as the weightage of our chapters so that you can understand it very easily. So, first of all, in our syllabus, there are total 3 chapters. Chapter 1, matrices. Chapter number 2, mathematical expectation. And chapter number 3, demographic information. So, let us start with matrices. The weightage of this chapter is 30%. In matrix chapter, we will see what is the definition of matrix. In matrix, we'll see some types of matrices. For example, null matrix, row matrix, column matrix, square matrix, symmetrical matrix, skew symmetrical matrix, etc. Then we will see some laws which we can use in matrix. For example, addition of matrices and its related laws, then subtraction of matrices and its related laws, then we'll see multiplication of matrices and its related laws. Then in first chapter, the second part is determinant of square matrix. So in this part, we will learn how can we find the determinant of any square matrix. Then how can we evaluate determinant? How can we know whether there is an existence of determinant or not? What are the laws of determinant that we will see in this part? So basically, determinant is used for square matrix. Now, what do you mean by square matrix? So, a matrix having equal number of row and column is known as square matrix. So, when we have square matrix, then only we can find determinant. So, we'll see that in detail. Okay, then we'll see the examples of determinant as well as matrix. Then we will see inverse of matrix. How can you find the inverse matrix? And how can you utilize the concept of inverse matrix to solve the linear equation? Now, what do you mean by linear equation? So, linear equation is nothing but, I'll show you. For example, you are given the equation like 2x plus 3y equal to 5 and 3x plus 8y equal to 24. So this is called linear equation. Now, if you want to solve this equation, and if you want to know the value of x and y, then you can solve this equation using inverse matrix. Now you had learned this concept in, I think, sixth standard or seventh standard, in which you had used elimination method to solve this equation. But here we'll try different method, that is inverse matrix method, to solve this type of equation. So we'll see this type of question in detail later on. Now see, I have given some examples of matrices. This first example is nothing but it is structured of matrix. How can we arrange data into the table? So you can see this from table 1. Okay, so let me explain this table. So this A11 is nothing but elements of first row and first column. A12 is nothing but it is elements of row 1, column 2, and this is element of row 1 and column n. Like that, this is the element of second row first column, second row second column, second row n column. And last, you can see here the element of m row and n column. So this last element indicates the order of the matrix. Here, the last element's order is m and n. So we can say the order of this matrix is m by n. And if you multiply m and n, then you will get total number of elements of the matrix. For example, this one. This is the matrix of order. How many rows are there? Row means diagonally we can see 1, 2. And how many columns are there? Vertically we can see 1, 2, 3. So we can say the order of this matrix is 2 row and 3 column, that is 2 by 3. And when you multiply row into column, that is 6, and you will get the total number of elements of a matrix. So it is very easy process to find the total number of element if you know the order of the matrix. Then second matrix, what is the order of this matrix? Yes, can you guess it? Yeah, in this matrix, total row horizontally they are 2 and total column vertically they are 3. So we can say the order of this matrix is 2 by 2. So now here you can see that total number of rows as well as columns are same. So it is called square matrix. And when matrix is square, then you can find determinant. Okay. Again, tell me what is the order of this matrix? I'm giving you 30 seconds. Yes. Okay. So the order of this matrix is how many row? Horizontal, you can see 1, 2, 3. 3 row and only 1 column. So we can say the order of this matrix is 3 by 1. Now, please check your knowledge. What is the order of these matrix? Here, horizontally, we have only 1 row, but vertically, we have 3 column. 1, 2, 3. So, this is the matrix of order 1 by 3. And this is 3 by 1. Now, look at this matrix. What's the order of this matrix? How many rows are there? 1, 2, 3. And how many columns are there? 1, 2, 3. So here rows and columns both are same, so that you can find determinant, and order of this matrix is 3 by 3. And finally, again, we have 4 elements in which we have 2 rows and 2 columns. So this order is again 2 by 2. So this is the way to identify the order of any matrix. So again, this is the chapter number 1, and the weightage of this chapter is 30%. That means you can score 30 marks from this chapter. and it is very easy chapter of your syllabus. Okay, after this we'll see mathematical expectation. Now here you can see that I have given two example or two diagram to understand the concept of mathematical expectation easily. Now here on the left diagram you can see that expected of xy is nothing but expected of x into expected of y. This concept we'll see later on during the chapter, but just try to understand that when you use mathematical expectation, then before x you have to write e. E indicates expected value of a variable. If you write x as variable, so we can say expected of x, and if you write y into the bracket, then you can say expected of y. Suppose if you write z into the bracket, then it is known as expected of z. So now see, one example is given. When you toss a coin, then you may expect either head or tails. So let us assign the values to head is equal to 1 and tails is equal to -1. Now we know very well because we had learned this chapter in semester 2. So probability of head and probability of tail is 1 upon 2. Now when you multiply the outcome by probability, and if you sum or total, if you find the total of these multiplication, then the answer you will get, that is known as mathematical expectation. Okay, so again it's very easy chapter. Now what are the points that we will see in this chapter? So in mathematical expectation we'll see what is the definition of mathematical expectation. Then we will see expectation of random variable. How can you find that? Then we'll see addition and multiplication theorem of expectation. Then we will see expectation of linear combination of random variables for discrete case only. And here we will not see any type of kind of proof. We will see or we will use the concept without using proof. Then after we will see mean in terms of expectation up to two variable cases. Okay, so when we have one variable we will find expectation, and when we have two variables we can find expectation. Of course, when we have more than two variables we can also find mean of that variable, but in our syllabus we have to find mean, variance, covariance for only two variables. So when we use mean in terms of expectation, we will use E, as earlier I have shown you this one. E means expectation. And when you use variance, then we will write VAR, variance, or only V out of the bracket. V indicates the variance of expectation. Then we'll see covariance in terms of expectation. When we use covariance term, then we'll write COV out of the bracket. And covariance is always fine for two variable, not for only one variable. So that is also we'll see in this part, mathematical expectation. So if you know the concept of probability, then this chapter is very easy to understand. Okay, so please revise the concept of probability so that you can easily understand this chapter. And then last we'll see examples related to random variables. Okay, so again the weightage of this chapter is 30%. That means you can score 15 marks from this chapter. And last but not the least, third chapter or unit is demographic methods. Now, in demographic methods, we will see sources of demographic data. What do you mean by sources? That means from where we can find or we can obtain the information about the demography. Demography means about the population, about birth, about date, about marriage, etc. So, demography word include the term related to human beings, whether it is birth, date, marriage, etc. So, in this part, we'll see what is meaning of census and why it is required. As we know very well, every 10 years in our country, census is done. Okay, then we'll see what is register and how can we register, how can we register our marriage, birth, date, etc. Then we'll see ad hoc survey and how can we conduct ad hoc survey in real life. Then we'll see hospital records. That means when you see the records of hospital, then you can get the information regarding date, its causes, birth, its causes, and list of the patient. So again, it is very important part for demographic data. Then demographic profile of census in India. Then we'll see measures of mortality. Now, what is meaning of mortality? Mortality is nothing but it is total number of death per thousand population. That means out of 1,000 people, how many people die? That ratio is known as measures of mortality. So we'll see that also in this chapter so that you can easily understand the meaning of mortality also. Okay, so after this, we will see what is the meaning of crude death rate, infant mortality rate, age specific death rate, standardized death rate. So let me explain this concept in brief. So death means what? The people who already died, that is called death. And what is the meaning of crude death rate? Crude death rate is nothing but it is the ratio of total number of deaths to total number of population per thousand. That means out of 1,000 people, how many people have died? That ratio is known as crude death rate. Then another concept is infant mortality rate. When you use word infant, that means you are considering the age less than 1 year. So again, mortality is nothing but it's a date. So again, this is one type of crude death rate, but regarding only child whose age is less than 1. So how can you define this? So infant mortality rate is nothing but it is a total number of date of age less than 1 per thousand population. Okay. Then age specific death rate. So why age specific death rate is required? So as we know very well, at the childhood age, the chances of death is high. The risk of death is high, whose age is less than 1 year or 0 to 5 years. At the same time, the chances of death is also high for the age group of the people more than 60 years or more than 70 years. So for that purpose, we need to find age specific death rate because when you find crude death rate, infant mortality rate, they totally ignored age category. And when you ignore age category, then you will mislead the interpretation. or result. That is why we need to find age-wise or category-wise death rate. Again, the formula is same as we have discussed in crude death rate. Then one another type of death rate is standardized death rate. Now, what is the meaning of crude death rate and standardized death rate? So, in crude death rate, we totally ignore total number of population of a country. For example, you have the answer of death rate of India and death rate of America. And if you want to compare these two death rate, then you will mislead the interpretation. Why? Because in our country, population is more than American. So if you want to compare death rate of both the countries, then it is very most important to standardize their population first. So in that case, first we assume the same population of both the countries, and assuming this, we again find death rate, and that is why it is called standardized death rate, because here we first standardize the population and then we will find the death rate. So that is why the name is given standardized death rate. So we will see this also in chapter number 3, and the weightage of chapter number 3 is 40%. That means you will get 20 marks. Okay, now another part of this chapter, that is life tables. So in life table, we will see how can you find a complete life table. Now complete life table means what? Suppose your age is 20 years and last age group is suppose 100 year or 90 years. So how can you construct a life table from the age group of 0 or 20 to 90 or 100 years? So we will see that also in this part. Now why life table is very important? Because when you want to start your mediclaim, then insurance company will definitely ask you about your age, because when your age is less, then they will charge less premium from you. But when your age is more, for example 30 or 40 years, then they will charge more premium. Now why there is a difference between premium age wise? Because when your age is less, then there is a less chance of death. But when your age is more, then the chances of the death will be increased, and hence they are charging high premium. So they will we will see that also in this part. Then we will see main features of life table. What are the basis of life table? Why actually it is useful? Then we will see assumptions of life table. Now without assumption we cannot construct life table. So what are the assumptions that we have to follow in this life table chapter? That part we will discuss. Then after description, that means what is meaning of X, L, capital T, etc. So we will discuss that also in this part. Don't worry. Then construction of life table. How can we prepare complete life table from age 0 to last age? Then we'll see mortality rate. Again, we have seen earlier the concept mortality, that means death rate. Then we'll see survival rate. That means what is the chance or probability of surviving a people. Then finally we'll see the examples of life table. After this life table, the last part is measures of fertility and population growth. So in measures of fertility, fertility is nothing but the capacity of a woman to produce a child. So in fertility, when we are talking about fertility, we always talk about birth, not date. So we will discuss crude birth rate. What is the meaning? So again, it is the same as crude date rate, but here instead of date, we will write birth. So it is very simple. Total number of birth per thousand population. Then we'll find general fertility rate. Why fertility rate is required? Because as we know very well, only women can produce child. Men cannot produce a child. So hence we again find birth rate per thousand female instead of finding per thousand population. Because when you find birth rate per thousand population, ultimately you include male also. But in general, we can say that male cannot produce child, so we have to ignore male. And that is why the new concept is very important for us, that is general fertility rate. After that, we'll see age specific fertility rate, age group wise, because we know very well the woman having age between 25 to 29 has more power to produce child compared to the woman having age 40 to 45. The chance of producing child is more in the age group between 20 to 30 compared to age group between 40 to 50 or 50 to 60. So hence, again, it is very important to know the fertility rate age group wise. Then we'll see total fertility rate. Then after we'll see measures of population growth. Now, when you talk about population growth, then we always consider female in place of female. So hence, we need to find gross reproduction rate and net reproduction rate. Reproduction rate is nothing but it is a capacity of a woman to replace herself by producing a female child. So that we will see in this chapter also. So this is the syllabus of statistics 3. And again, all these 3 chapters are very easy and you can easily score above 40. Okay, just you need to do some practice at home. Definitely, I will give you examples also for the practice purpose so that you can easily understand all the concept. Okay, then so after that, this is a very good diagram to understand the chapter number 3. Now see, vital statistics is nothing but it's a demographic method. So when you talk about demographic methods, we include civil registration, population census, sample surveys, sample registration, health services, administrative records, etc. This is the diagram not made by me, but it is a made by World Program on Population and Housing Census, that is UNESCO. Okay, so we'll see that this part also in this chapter. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you in the next lecture.